new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Hi there, I'm Hugh from Poderation. If you like today's show, why not check out Dungeons and Dragonfruits, the bizarre, strange, and queer in every sense of the word D&D podcast. Join 5 friends as they laugh, learn, and adventure their way through the weird, wonderful world of Widdershins, where dragons hatch from trees and have adventures of all forms in every shape and size. Available wherever you can get your podcasts.
Welcome to the All Things Nintendo podcast. I'm Brian Shea, and this is a weekly podcast to discuss all the biggest news and games from the world of Nintendo. Can you believe it? 5 years ago, I started this podcast, and here we are, episode 250. There was a moment where I said, I'm going to number these in the triple digits instead of just the double digits. And I was like, maybe that's being hopeful, but here we are, episode 250. And to celebrate that, we are going to be trying to construct some semblance of a top 25 greatest Nintendo games of all time. But before we get to that, we have a review of a new game from Nintendo, Splatoon Raiders. Joining me for all of that is IGN and Nintendo Voice Chat's Logan Plant. Logan, how are you doing?
Hey, congrats on 250. I think that's the best milestone because it's like that's a big number of episodes. And then as you get a little further, the big numbers start to wear off a little bit. But you're in that sweet spot right now. So congrats, man. That's awesome.
Thanks so much. I guess like the next milestones happen on like the hundreds, and then like the big one would be like 500. So like just do what I've been doing for 5 years, only, 5 more years. Exactly. Yeah. But I'm so happy that you were able to join me for this, Logan. As people who listen to this show know, you are one of my favorite guests to have on this podcast. And, you're the host of a very successful Nintendo podcast yourself, Nintendo Voice Chat. How's everything going over there?
Oh, thanks. It's going great. Yeah, we just did our own Splatoon Raiders review discussion over there. I'll probably say a lot of the same things, but yeah, we have a really fun time over there. We're at like 800 something, but I haven't been there for 250. Not even close yet. So I'll get there someday.
You will. You absolutely will. I was actually just like, thinking about the amazing squad you guys have had over at Nintendo Voice Chat, how lucky I am to consider so many of you friends. Because, you guys do such an amazing job, and you've had such a great cast of hosts, co-hosts, and guests over the years. So keep up the great work over there as well.
Thanks. That's so kind.
And obviously, we're going to jump into the Splatoon Raiders review before we get to the top 25 greatest Nintendo games of all time. You and I both reviewed this for our respective outlets, you for IGN and me for Game Informer. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation. I think judging by our reviews, we both thoroughly enjoyed the game, and it should be a pretty fun discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
But before we get to that, just wanted to remind everyone that this show, which has made it 250 episodes, is not possible without the support of the listeners here. The best way to support the show is by joining the Patreon. There are $3 tiers, $5 tier, and a $10 tier. The $10 tier gets you access to an entire second occasional podcast. I'm not going to market it as a regular podcast because it's basically just whenever I have something non-Nintendo related to talk about, I put out an episode, and that goes out to the $10 patrons. Had a lot of activity around Summer Game Fest, as you might imagine. But $5 tier gets you early and ad-free episodes. $3 tier gets you access to the not the Game Informer Discord, the All Things Nintendo community Discord. We're currently planning a community night, a community game night for August for Splatoon Raiders. So if you want to come join in on the co-op fun with the All Things Nintendo community, you can join the community Discord for just $3 a month. But yeah, other ways to support the show: review it on your podcast platform of choice, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe on YouTube. All those are free ways, but of course, the best way is by supporting it on Patreon. Logan, Let's jump in to Splatoon Raiders. This is a game that I think surprised a lot of people when it was announced. You know, Splatoon has been going since 2015. I've been lucky enough to have reviewed every single Splatoon game for Game Informer to this
Nice.
point. I've also interviewed Nogami, the creator of Splatoon. I've interviewed him twice now, I think. Also, the creator of Animal Crossing, which I think a lot of people kind of fail to recognize. I know I failed to recognize that for the first several years after Splatoon came out. But traditionally, I mean, there's been single player stuff, there's been tons of PvE stuff, there's been a card battler in Splatoon 3. There's been kind of their version of Horde mode from Gears of War. They've had that since Splatoon 2. The single player content has always been included since Splatoon 1, but everybody knows Splatoon, just, you know, the franchise as a whole, for its competitive multiplayer stuff. How into Splatoon's competitive multiplayer have you gotten?
Oh, super, super. To the point where once I almost signed up for a team that was going to practice like 3 times a week and play. I didn't end up. It was
Whoa.
too much. It was during college, too much other stuff going on. But no, I've played every Splatoon game for at least 150 hours. Some of them more than that. I think it's like Nintendo's most underrated series. I think it's a gem. I think it's up there with their best, and more people outside of Japan, where it's hugely popular, should really pay attention to it.
You know, I remember, because I'm 100% in agreement with you there. I think it's one of Nintendo's most underrated franchises. I smile every time. I saw before we started recording, you were drinking coffee or something out of a Nintendo store mug, probably at San Francisco, because that's where you're
Yep,
based.
San Francisco. The day we went to dinner, I bought this mug.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I love that design that they have. But they sell those at all the Nintendo stores. And it always gives me a big smile whenever I go into those Nintendo stores. And they have, you know, they have the sections for all the different franchise. They have Zelda, Metroid, very small Metroid,
Very
unfortunately,
small.
Mario, Mario Kart, Animal Crossing. But the San Francisco store in particular, you go down those stairs, and right when you get to the bottom, there's this giant splash of color that is the Splatoon section. And I love perusing that stuff because I think out of all the Nintendo properties, their merchandise has the most personality. And I think that
Mhm.
is a direct reflection of the franchise itself.
Yeah, I agree. They sell a lot of the shirts that the Inklings actually wear in the games, and yeah, it's all about fashion and style, so it's super cool.
Yeah, so I also have had an extensive history with Splatoon. I probably put the most time into Splatoon 1. It was such a novel
Mhm.
concept. I got into playing it with my partner at the time. And it was just a fun multiplayer game. You could hop in, like the turf war just goes by super fast. What's it, 3 minutes?
Yep.
So 2 minutes, and then you get the 1 minute warning, and the music kicks in, and that's just such a joyful, like, dopamine hit when it's like time's running out, and
Yeah.
it's such a great competitive multiplayer experience. But I have always been a champion of the single player content, and I know that you and I have a little bit of a difference on this because you've kind of viewed at least the non DLC single player content as kind of like more of a tutorialized, like a tutorial for the multiplayer content. I've always found it kind of a little bit more than that. I thought in the beginning, especially, it does feel like a tutorial. But
Mhm.
once you get near the end and they start throwing like these really exciting boss battles and all that stuff, I really think that like some of the later stages feel like they would be at home in like a Mario game in terms of the level design, the cleverness, the kind of set piece, like multi-stage puzzles and platforming sequences. Like, I don't know, like talk to me about your history with the Splatoon single player stuff.
Yeah, I've beat all of them, and I like all of them at the bare minimum. I think that you're totally right. The final act of like Splatoon 3 is utterly insane. It's crazy and feels like Mario Galaxy in a lot of ways. And a lot of the just floating platforms, and even when you do the squid jump from like separate island to island of these floating rocks, it's like Galaxy jumping through the
Mhm.
stargates. It's very similar. I love them. I think that they're getting better and better. I love the DLC ones. Octo expansion has been my favorite until this week. No longer true. And then I really liked the roguelite. I thought it wasn't tuned the best. The side
Mhm.
order needed a little bit of work, but it was a really good first attempt. And I think they've actually taken a lot of what they learned in side order into Raiders. So I like when Splatoon single player just lets you go crazy. And it's like this isn't a competitively balanced multiplayer PvP game anymore. We can do whatever we want, and Raiders really leans into that.
And what I love is they really seem to have figured out that single player balance. Like I think they figured out the multiplayer balance very, very quickly. I think they figured out how to perfect Salmon Run by Splatoon 3. By the time Splatoon 3 rolled around, like they had that figured out. They had it locked down. But
Yeah.
there was this sense of like they were still figuring out how to get a single player experience truly locked in. And I think the DLCs are far and away the best single player content that we've gotten in a mainline Splatoon game. Octo expansion for Splatoon 2 and side order for Splatoon 3. Those were super fun, incredibly well designed. And it really seemed like they carried a lot of those lessons that they learned from those DLC content or DLC expansions in particular into Splatoon Raiders. So for those who are unaware of what Splatoon Raiders is, it's designed for single player play, and basically you are with the musical trio, the host trio. God, what's their name? I can't even remember. Deep Cut. I wanted to say side order, but I was like, no, that's the DLC. Deep Cut, and they are on a treasure hunting expedition to the Spiralite Islands. A big like vortex sucks you in. The helicopter goes down, and you play the mechanic who is also a pilot. And you're going around on these expeditions, and basically, true to the name, you're going on these raids to try to uncover treasure, collect a bajillion different collectibles, like whether it's like salmonid parts or spiralite shards or power eggs, all these different things that will help you upgrade your loadout. But it's such a smartly designed gameplay loop where it's like, the most of the raids are very bite-sized. You can jump in, get it done in a few minutes, jump out, have meaningful loot. Even if you fail, you get meaningful loot. And then it's like, oh, well, I can upgrade this and make it better. And then the next thing is going to be like, I'm going to have an even better shot. And it gives you such a strong sense of just one more, just one more. Okay, all right. I've told myself so many times during the review period of like, okay, I'm just going to do one more and then I'm going to go to bed because it's getting late. And then I would get a really cool upgrade or like a new weapon or something. I'm like, oh, well, I have to try that out. So let me go one more time. And then it's like, oh, well, now there's this boss battle that I just unlocked. I should do that. And then before you know it, I've been playing for an extra hour longer than I intended to. Did you have that experience as well?
Oh yeah, totally. I play with motion controls on. I think that's the
Oh.
only real way to play Splatoon personally. And I was having like some serious like pain in my wrist just from the rapid movement this game requires. It's a thing. Like when Splatoon 3 came out, the Splatoon community passed around this diagram of like stretches to do to warm up before you play because it's rigorous. And I was like, oh man, I'm sore. I got this pain like shooting up my arm. I got to keep going. Like it was not good for me, but I couldn't stop. Like I literally was like, I got to see this level through. I just got this new gadget perk I got to slot in and go try out. I had the exact same experience.
Yeah. So basically you are going around and you are fighting back waves of salmonids. And, you know, there's the standard minion salmonids. I think it's like small fry and chum. And then, you know, there's more than 10 of like what they call boss salmonids, which are like basically just like named enemy types where it's like they have a specific defeat condition. They have like specific like kind of super powered moves that they do. But like that name nomenclature is a little bit confusing because there aren't actually boss battles. The real boss battles take place over the course of a few different dungeons that you go into. And those are extremely well designed, like very, very fun set piece boss battles. We can't really talk about too many of them, but like, I mean, were these among your favorite Splatoon boss battles that they've given in the entire franchise?
Yeah, hands down. Hands down.
Yeah.
One of them specifically that I love.
Ooh, I want to. Are we talking earlier in the game or later?
Mid game.
Okay, all right. I think I have an idea which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be spoiling a whole lot in this, both because we don't want to spoil it for everybody. We want people to enjoy this game as we did, but also because Nintendo has very, very strict embargoes, and we're gonna tiptoe around those pretty frequently here. So in addition to just like getting leveling up and like getting more powerful like damage and health and all that, you can also apply your skill points to different parts of your Inkling or Octoling. I think you can choose between them for your character customization.
Yes.
So like you can improve your HP, your damage, your gadgets. You also, when you customize your gadgets, you have a set number of slots. You can expand how many slots you have. That gives you the ability to further customize your loadout. Like that is the thing that really impressed me about this game. I think maybe more than anything is how much agency they give the player, where, you know, there's 3 different tanks that you can choose from, which basically serve as like base classes. There's speed, power, and tactical. And then from there, you can invest in like researching new gadgets that give you like the gadgets are basically just like abilities that operate on a cooldown. And then each gadget also has like tens of different modifiers that you can equip and upgrade and do all these different things to like just make it play exactly how you want. Like I was messing around with the tactical tank, and I had it so that like as soon as I give damage to a salmonid, it automatically deploys the turret and then automatically deploys the vortex. And then I bought more charges for those and made it so the cooldown was shorter, and then made it so that the gadget lasted longer. And then before you know it, I had a ton of turrets out because they were lasting longer, had a shorter cooldown, were auto deploying. I had extra charges. So it was just like I was a one-man wrecking crew with the tactical tank. And then the power tank is also super fun to mess around with. Like it basically is all these different like gadgets that allow you to just get right in the face of the salmonid. So like you're not shooting from a distance like you might with a tactic or speed tank. And the speed tank is all about like mobility. Like there's one that lets you just jump straight up in the air, and there's one that the booyah that they've advertised like allows you to do like ranged attacks. There's another one that lets you jump and slam down like on another area, like an area of effect. Did you have a tank that you like kind of gravitated towards over the course of your playthrough?
Yeah, I think the game's really good at making you switch between all three for different reasons. There are dungeons where there's an exclusive piece of loot for each tank, depending on which one you beat it with. So I had balanced builds for all three, but my favorite's the tactical tank, and it's not even really close. It has amazing gadgets like the ones you mentioned, but also the bomb balloons, these floating explosive bombs that link together with this tether that deals damage to any enemies that walk through them. And you can kind of go in two directions. You can say, I'm going to make this explosion as big and damaging as possible. Or you can say, I'm going to make my bombs last longer. I'm going to make the max tether distance between them as long as possible so I can drop them across the map from each other. And I'm going to make their float time up so they sit out there forever. So you can like create this pyramid of tethers around these enemies if you swim around and just drop these bombs every time they come back. And then it deals passive damage, and then when you blow it up, it basically clears the screen. And that's just one way to play. That's just one gadget. The gadgets have synergies with each other that are really cool. And I think this game never stops giving you new ways to customize and tinker constantly. Like each major checkpoint in the game, you get back to base and they're like, hey, you can do this now. And that doesn't stop. Even into the end game, it doesn't stop. And every time I was like, well, I wish that I could do this with my gadgets. 4 hours later, Shiver's like, here you go. You can do this now. It's just brilliant. I think the loop is so excellent.
It does such a great job of incentivizing you to play more and to experiment and to continually upgrade and tweak. I mean, it's literally called tinkering when you were going in and customizing like the loadout of your gadgets. And I found so many cool synergies to your point. And then also like, we haven't really even talked about this, but like the co-op is a blast. Like these levels are all designed for single player play, but you can play co-op with up to 4 people in your party. And we had a great time. We had an organized like play session with some people from Nintendo, but also like other like members of the media, and we just wrecked shop with some of the levels that we played, and it was a really, really fun time, like jumping in with that. And I'm shocked at how well they balanced the co-op aspect of it as well.
It's really smart. This is Splatoon, a game that used to not let you be on the same team as your friends in Turf War. They have come a really long way, but now you can play the entire campaign together, except a few levels to unlock multiplayer. But once you get to that point, you can do it all together. Everyone gets progression, not just the host. If everyone beats that level, yep, you all unlock on the map, and you get to watch the cutscenes like while you're still in the lobby. It doesn't force you to separate and come back together. Even Monster Hunter's not good at doing that. It makes you kind of watch stuff alone and then group back up. So that's great. And then it does per player level scaling, where if I'm level 35 and Brian's level 25, I'm not steamrolling his enemies because on my screen, my enemies are saltier than on his screen. And so it's like this illusion that I'm fighting tougher enemies. We're shooting the same salmonid, but it's just balanced perfectly. So you could play the game with somebody and walk them all the way through it as an end game player and both have a good time because I'm earning loot appropriate to my level and the person I'm playing with who's new is progressing through the story. It's great. Like they got everything you would want them to do with the multiplayer. They did it completely right. And I think that's really awesome.
Now, I will say I did miss the competitive multiplayer, but that's why this is a spinoff, right? This is not a mainline entry, but like man, when you are gliding through that ink, you're reloading, you're getting into that rhythm of emerging from the ink, shooting off as much ink as you can, kind of going back under the ink, reloading, but also swimming around super smoothly and like getting into a better position. It just feels so good, and it doesn't lose a step from like how good it feels to play a multiplayer match. And I think that at its core is what makes Splatoon so special. Is it's not like it once you get the feeling of a game or a franchise down, I think that, the sky really is the limit for it. I mean, I think that look at Mario 64. The number one thing that they did was they made sure that Mario was fun to control in 3D. They designed the entire Nintendo 64 controller around making sure Mario felt good to control in 3D. And look at that. We still talk about how amazing Super Mario 64 is to this day. And I think that's a lot of what Splatoon's special sauce really is.
Yeah, no, I think that this foundation can translate to so many different genres. They've done a roguelite now. They've done a Monster Hunter looter action RPG now. I said on my show, I want them to do like a Zelda where you go into full scale dungeons with this stuff. And this is the roller dungeon. You fight a mid boss and get a roller, and then all the puzzles are built around the roller. That'd be so cool. They could totally do that because Splatoon just does foundationally feel so fantastic. It always has. And yeah, that's why it works so well, is that I barely even talk about how Splatoon plays like base in my review because there's so much new stuff to get to, but it's just so fun. It just feels perfect. Like you mentioned, that ink reload while you're moving around and you're faster in the ink. That's still such a genius concept. I think that we've all accepted and underrate now. It's just so good.
Yeah, mobility is, I mean, because you feel so sluggish when you're just running on the ground. And
Mhm.
then to have the juxtaposition of sinking underneath the ink, that's when you reload, but also when you get like so much faster. Such a brilliant twist on gameplay. And again, yeah, like you said, we've had it for 11 years now, and it still feels so good.
Yeah.
Did you like find the same level of utility across all the weapons? That's one of my only criticisms, I think, is that like there were certain weapons where I'm like, I mean, maybe if I was playing co-op, I would get more enjoyment out of some of like the more specialized weapons. But like some of like the charged weapons, for example, like the kind of like their version of the snipers, I didn't really get a whole lot of utility out of. Like the bow and arrow type weapon. And also some of the more close range ones, I tried them out and I was like, okay, yeah, I can do some damage with this, but I'm so much better with like the more traditional Splatoon weapons. Was that your experience as well?
Yeah, but it's hard for me to really, I think, be fair about that because I've played, like I mentioned, 500 hours of Splatoon. Probably 400 hours of that has been with the dualies. So I'm not
Oh
going to be
yeah.
as good with anything else as I am with that. Yeah, I've never been good with the blasters or the chargers or like the Splatana. I tried it. It was harder for me, but I still think that's there's going to be people that are good with every weapon, like there are in multiplayer. I'll get splatted by a charger all the time in turf war. I'm like, gosh, you're so good with that. I can never be that good with that.
Let's talk a little bit about the end game. We can't say much, and nor do we really want to, but
Yeah.
I think we can say general impressions that it is rewarding, it's fun, and it's extremely challenging. You've spent more time with the end game than I have. I think you've put probably a good 10, 15 hours more than I have into it, and I'm like
Mhm.
25, 27 hours deep into this experience.
Mhm.
I'm still going, by the way. Like I don't have any intention of stopping Splatoon Raiders. I want to keep going with this. But what are your overall impressions of the end game and post game?
I think it's awesome. I was on the fence between an 8 or a 9 when I beat the game, and then the end game bumped me up to a 9 because I think it's really, really good. I initially thought that I had crafted a build that was very creative and clever, and I thought I had broken the game. I thought I had solved it, and I ripped through a bunch of this new stuff the end game introduces really fast. And then Raiders was like, nope, you're not that good yet. And it bounced back with crazier levels that forced me back to the workbench. And yeah, I'm still going. I'm still not as good as I want to be. I kind of paused because I got to a point where I'm like, I need to grind a lot of materials to keep upgrading my stuff. So I'm going to wait for multiplayer once the game is out to do that. It's kind of because there's this SOS flare type system where you
Hmm.
can go in and help people who are struggling, strangers, through this call for help system. And every 24 hours, if you do that once per day, you get a bonus loot box with a bunch of really good stuff. So I'm like, okay, that's how I'm going to get my really good materials once this game is out for everybody. But I'm going to keep going too. I don't know, a good 20 to 30 hours left with this game probably. And I'm a power user of it. Like that's going to be on the high end, I think, but it's really, really good. I love this grindy type of end game stuff, and Raiders just does it super well.
Also, just to clarify, before people heard you say the naughty word of loot box, there are no microtransactions.
Yeah.
This is loot box in the sense of a looter shooter, which I would say this is heavily inspired by.
Yeah.
So it's just a box of loot that you would otherwise pick up in a level. So just to clarify, in case somebody
no
heard that,
microtransactions at all in this game.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Except for the amiibo costumes, which annoy me because it's on the costume menu and they're there grayed out and say scan the amiibo to get this. They don't usually do that to us, but they did this time, and it feels rude to me.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess that qualifies as a microtransaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of us are extremely positive on this. You can read each of our reviews. Logan's is over on IGN.com. You gave it a 9 out of 10. Mine is over on GameInformer.com. I gave it an 8.75 out of 10. Logan, where does this rank on like your Game of the Year list so far?
Number 2 for me. Number 2 behind
what?
Mina the Hollower, which is my Game of the Year. Yeah.
I noticed that 2 of my 3 games of the year so far are Nintendo produced, or at least published, because we have my number 1 is probably Pokemon Pokopia. My number 2 is eventually coming to Switch 2, and that's 007 First Light. And
That's
then
great
my
too.
number 3, I'm so close to the end right now. I'm like itching to go back and play it right now, and I think I'm on the final mission. And then number 3 is probably Splatoon Raiders, and all that is subject to change, especially as I continue to play through the end game and post game. And obviously, we have a very busy September and October in front of us. But yeah, go check out our reviews. We both are extremely happy with how Splatoon Raiders turned out, and I don't know about you, but this makes me so much more excited for the future of the franchise.
Yeah, I think I'm done underestimating this series. I feel like they're not great at marketing it sometimes, especially in the West. Like I felt like the run up to Splatoon 3, I was like, why do we need this? We have Splatoon 2. And then I freaking love Splatoon 3. I think it's awesome. And then Raiders, I thought the trailers were mediocre until the direct. I'm like, oh, this is amazing now. So I think that this series it's stepping closer and closer to being like top tier with Mario and Zelda to me. It's getting there. And it's a top tier Nintendo series more people need to care about.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was also kind of writing this off of like, oh, it's going to be probably fun, but nothing substantial. And then when I had Giovanni Colantonio from Polygon on the show after he attended the hands-on session in New York a few weeks back, he was like, this is so much more than you think it is. And here's why you should be really excited about this. And then from that day on, I was like, yep, I need this game in my life. And thankfully, it turned out to be as good as advertised. So as you are listening to this, Splatoon Raiders is available now on Switch 2. And, go check it out if this sounds like it is up your alley. And I mean, both of us would recommend you to check it out if you've ever enjoyed it.
Hi there, I'm Hugh from Poderation. If you like today's show, why not check out Dungeons and Dragonfruits, the bizarre, strange, and queer in every sense of the word D&D podcast. Join 5 friends as they laugh, learn, and adventure their way through the weird, wonderful world of Widdershins, where dragons hatch from trees and have adventures of all forms in every shape and size. Available wherever you can get your podcasts.
Splatoon game. Logan, before we jump into this top 25 greatest Nintendo games of all time, there was a quick piece of relevant news that hit. I'm reading this over on Nintendo Life. Nintendo did the Ask the Developer interview, and they had producer Seta Inoue from the Splatoon franchise, and specifically Splatoon Raiders. They asked about if there is going to be a new mainline entry of Splatoon, and he said, quote, "We've been going full speed ahead for over 11 years since the series launch, developing and updating 3 titles along the way. We thought it might be interesting to create something with a slightly different approach to gameplay where you can really savor the action on your own. Splatoon isn't just about competitive play, it also includes cooperative modes like Salmon Run and a single-player story mode. So one of our motivations for developing this game was our desire to create a new entry point into the series by releasing these non-competitive elements, not just as a secondary feature, but as a standalone spin-off. That said, we will continue to develop competitive gameplay going forward. That's why we developed this game as a spin-off and not as Splatoon 4. So I mean, that makes sense. I think that it is entirely reasonable to say that, like, yeah, we wanted this to be its own identity and all that. Do you take that as the fact that they're mentioning the word Splatoon 4, Nintendo doesn't typically do that until a game is announced. Do you think they are working on a Splatoon 4 right now?
Oh, even before this interview, I'd say, yeah, they're working on a Splatoon 4. They're going to work on a sequel to a 10 million seller on their last console for their new console. And yeah, I don't think he was saying Splatoon 4 in terms of that's the game we're making. He's saying that's why we didn't name this game
Yeah.
Splatoon 4. But you're right. They don't usually drop a name like that before. They also don't usually have series that are just sequentially numbered like Splatoon is. No, absolutely. They're going to make a Splatoon 4. I think that team's going to make Animal Crossing first. I think that's why they did Raiders, probably, is because they know, all right, we got to do a next big Animal Crossing, and then we'll get to Splatoon 4. So here's something small in the meantime for Splatoon fans. But yeah, absolutely, in the next 4 to 5 years, we'll see Splatoon 4 on Switch 2.
It was kind of shocking that it's been such a long stretch, though, because, we got Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 rapid fire, but that makes sense because it was going from the Wii U, which nobody had, to the Switch, which a lot of people had. And then Splatoon 3 obviously followed pretty shortly after that. And now we're kind of in a Splatoon mainline entry dead zone that we're in. But thankfully, Splatoon Raiders is fantastic. So just wanted to shout out that quote because it was just interesting. It was almost like when I asked Eiji Aonuma back in 2023 about a potential Ocarina of Time modern remake, and rather than even humoring it, he just laughed and said no comment.
Okay.
So
Nice.
interesting that they dropped that there. But all right, Logan, we are gathered here today to attempt a monumental task. I always talk about how Nintendo's biggest advantage in any platform that it puts out is the fact that it has the greatest developer of all time exclusive to its platform. And that greatest developer of all time is itself, of course. So with the 250th episode of the All Things Nintendo podcast, I wanted to take this opportunity not to rank the 250 greatest Nintendo games of all time, because that would be impossible. Instead, we're going to do the 25 greatest Nintendo games ever released. And a few ground rules here. We are going to try to come to a consensus list. You and I have kind of we're not drafting, but I'm imagining that we have put together a draft board of sorts individually.
Yes.
We're going to do this on the fly. The ground rule is that neither or no games that in order to qualify, you need to have either been developed or published by Nintendo. So the example I gave you ahead of time was like Chrono Trigger would not count because that's a Square published and developed game. However, I imagine that this game will at least be in the conversation, something like Tetris for Game Boy, which, was officially developed and published by Nintendo developers, that does qualify, even though it's not technically a Nintendo game. So obviously there are some things that count, like, Mario is an obvious inclusion, but then other things like they are third-party developed games and published by Nintendo, that counts. So I have done my best to include all of the box art. We're switching over to the visual element for anybody watching on video. You can see the tier list that I have here. I have as many images as I could have scrounged up of box art. And Logan, I think that the best way, this is my proposal, we've not talked about this yet. My proposal for the best way to approach this would be for us to kind of figure out what, like, I have them in groupings of 5. So 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, and 21 to 25. I think the best way to go about this would be to nominate games for certain categories in those groupings of 5, and then go from there, ranking and adjusting. So like just getting like almost like a long feature that we're writing for our respective jobs, getting down that first draft and then tweaking and editing from there. Does that sound like the best approach to you?
Yeah, sounds good. Also, if you're watching, I'm not just scrolling my phone, I'm looking at my list. I hate it when podcast guests are looking at their phone, so I just want to point it out.
Same.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have my list up on my screen here, but let's talk about
We should start at the top, right? Because I think we have to.
Yeah, I think that the way that we could go about this, nominate me a game that belongs in the top 5 Nintendo games.
Okay. Super Metroid.
Okay.
Belongs in the top 5.
Scroll down and find Super Metroid. Okay. I'm just going to throw that in that top 1. Again, none of this is finalized until, of course, it is. But yeah, Super Metroid. That is a solid pick for a top 5 Nintendo game of all time. I am gonna nominate, I think, a pretty obvious no-brainer, and that is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Okay, nice.
That is gonna join Super Metroid in that top 5.
This is so difficult already.
It is. Go for it. Let's see what you got for your next nominee, or you can go to another
Okay.
group if you prefer. Like if you just want to fill out this tier list, we can go for that. But
See, okay, so what do you want from this list? All right, this is your show. I'm gonna nominate some things I don't think you would, but what's your goal? Is it best, most influential, combination of the two?
so
How does it
that is
hold
the
up?
trick, right? I meant to go over that before we started.
Yeah.
Greatest is a very intentional choice of word from my side here, because that can mean so many things. That can mean like it's almost like this nebulous convergence of all these different qualifiers. It could be the best, it could be the most enjoyable, it could be your personal favorite, it could be the most influential, it could be the most important. Any of those factors, and all of those factors, I think are relevant for this list. And there are games that I would say that, like, yes, this game is not as good today as another game that might be lower on the list, but it's impossible to discount the influence of said game. However, that doesn't necessarily put it at the top of the list, right? Like, because if you want to talk about the most influential game of all time, it's either Super Mario Brothers or The Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda. And it's like, yeah, well, then that should be 1 and 2, right? But no, we're taking into consideration all of those aspects. So I know that gives you very little guidance, but that's by design.
How much do you care about franchise representation on this list? Like, are we going to have 10 Zeldas on this list of 25 games?
We very well could. I think that we should just name our picks for the greatest.
Okay, then top 5 Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. Let me go grab that.
There are some people that have turned on that game in the last 3 years. I am not and never will be one of them.
I've seen that sentiment as well. It's funny seeing the box arts next to each other. It's like we have a Super Nintendo, a Nintendo 64, and a Switch box art. And the Switch box art is just so thin in comparison to the landscape orientation. All right, so maybe this is not gonna jive with you, but I'm gonna nominate Super Mario World for the top 5.
That jives with me.
Okay,
that jives with me. Fine.
All right, so that's 4 of the 5.
Okay, I'll leave it empty.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'll go to the top 10.
Okay.
I'll go to 6 through 10.
Let's go for it.
I'm gonna put in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Ooh, good pick. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. Okay, sorry. Like I said, there are around 200 images that I just sort through. Thankfully, I was smart and I alphabetized them before we jumped onto this. But yeah, it is a task. That's a good call out. I think that is a very solid pick for this. Let me consult my list here.
Are we going to talk about why as we start to debate a little more?
I think once we start tweaking it, we will.
That's good.
I'm going to nominate one for the top 5, and maybe this is controversial in the year 2026 because I feel like this game has dropped on a lot of people's lists of like favorite, best, most influential. I'm going to go with The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Oh, for top 5?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a little high, but okay.
Wow. We can adjust
like 5 slots too high. Like not that much too high.
But yeah, one of the greatest games of all time. I think it was the first game that perfected the Zelda formula after Zelda 1, 2, and I mean, Link's Awakening was kind of, it was difficult to perfect it given the technical limitations of the Game Boy.
That was after Link to the Past.
Well, in that case, it was the first to perfect it either way.
Yeah.
Okay, so nominate me another one for anywhere on the list.
Anywhere on the list. Okay, I'm just checking the ones off on my list that I want to put in. I'll say 21 to 25.
Ooh.
I am going to nominate Splatoon 3.
Very good choice.
I think that franchise has to be on this list. I think it is a huge part of modern Nintendo, and
you're saying for 21 to 25?
Yeah.
All right, it's there. Also, you can feel free to nominate something else for the top 5, and or you can just, if you want to keep it clean, we can put it on the 6 to 10, and then argue why it should be bumped up and the other one bumped down.
Are we how many are we nominating exclusively 25 and stopping, or are we nominating more and some's going to get bumped?
I think we can nominate 25 and then
Okay.
stop, but
Yep.
we can also, if we have like several games in the top 5 and want to bump things down, it will take a longer time. But
Yep.
I think let's start with 25, and then if there are honorable mentions, we can throw them in a separate category.
Okay. Mhm.
All right, so let me see here. I'm gonna put one in the 6 to 10 category. I'm gonna say it's an example that I already used. I'm gonna do the Game Boy Tetris.
Okay.
I think Tetris is a game that I continually point to as perhaps the most perfectly designed video game of all time.
Mhm.
The from like in terms of like conceptualization, the execution of that concept, and the influence that it had over an entire genre of puzzle games, like Tetris is the be all end all for that. So it might get bumped down, but honestly, in terms of just sheer influence and like just greatness, I think it's probably top 5, but I understand why it will have dropped down further in this day and age.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I know it was, and I know it launched with the Game Boy and all that, but I never think of it as a Nintendo game, especially with how many Tetris games there have been since.
It's
So that's the
funny.
only issue I take with it.
I agree, and I didn't have it on the list originally. And
Hmm.
then I looked specifically at the Game Boy game, and it said developed by Nintendo EPD and published by Nintendo. And I was like, I think that qualifies it.
Yeah, no, it totally does. Yeah.
So you're up.
Oh, I feel like I'm going to get accused of putting only too many modern games on it, but I think that's how good the modern games have been. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I'll nominate for the top 10.
That's a solid pick. If I can find it on my list, let's see. M. There's a
It's not
lot
the
of
newest
M
Mario
games,
Kart
it turns
anymore,
out.
though.
Okay. And you're saying 6 to 10?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, it is there. I'll go a little bit further back. I'm going to put this in the 16 to 20 category. And I don't know if this is too low or too high. I think people are going to be yelling at me either way. I'm going to say Super Mario 64.
Okay. Which
Like
number? Which range?
16 to 20.
Oh, nice. I appreciate that. I think that is where that game is these days.
I think that, that was the game that laid the blueprint for all 3D platformers to come.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, you're up.
Oh.
So we have 3 games in the 6 to 10 category,
Okay.
0 in 11 to 15, 1 in each the 16 to 20 and 21 to 25 categories.
Okay. I'm gonna throw a game that I'm not even that passionate about, but I just think should be on this list. I'll put it in 16 to 20. It might fall. Wii Sports.
Very good pick, actually. I think that is one that's easy to sleep on,
Yeah.
but it is just impossibly important to the gaming landscape as a whole, and also Nintendo's kind of pivot to motion controls and what that ended up resulting in terms of influence. So yeah,
And the
that was a game.
Mii's.
Yeah,
That's
the
their first
Mii's,
game. Like, come on, it's a huge game.
and
Yeah.
everybody had it, right? I
Yeah.
talk about all the time how my grandmother still has her Wii plugged in because of Wii
Mhm.
Sports. So
Mhm.
it was a huge mainstream success. And speaking of huge mainstream successes, I'm going to nominate this one for the 21 to 25 category. And that is a very recent game. I guess not very recent, 6 years ago, Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Okay.
And we can debate whether or not that belongs there, but that was a very, very exciting time if you were playing Nintendo games back in 2020.
Well, this is always my hot take, and people that listen to me on NBC know what I'm about to say. I'm gonna put Animal Crossing New Leaf in the same spot because I
Oh,
really think
wow.
it's better. I really think it's the better game, and I think it's the best Animal Crossing.
Interesting. Okay, well, I could be open to being
Mhm.
convinced to bump New Horizons off and put something else on.
Mhm.
I'm going to go the 6 to 10 route, and at the risk of staying too mono franchise here, I'm going to go The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
There, I was waiting for you to say that because I wasn't gonna waste one of my picks on it. Not that I don't love Breath of the Wild, I just
Wasn't
wasn't
going
gonna
to
do it.
waste. Wow.
Yeah, like my
But yeah,
8th favorite Zelda game. Yeah.
holy crap. Yeah, it's my favorite game of all time. I love that title so much, and yeah, it was the big proclamation from Nintendo of we are back after a bit of a
Mhm.
down era.
Mhm. I'm surprised you didn't go for 1 to 5 on that one.
Uh, that's a stacked lineup right
Throw it
there.
in
I
there.
mean,
We should talk about it. Throw it in.
All right. Well, let me keep it in
Yeah.
the 6 to 10. I'll just put it at the top of the 6 to 10
Okay.
range if I can get it. Okay, there we go. Because that way it does have some upward mobility, and we are going to rearrange these games within these categories here.
Yes.
So that's where we're at right now. 1 to 5 is full, 6 to 10 has 4, and then 21 to 25 has 3, 11 to 15 still completely absent a game.
Maybe I'll put one in there. What would go in there though? 11 to 15. Yeah, I'll put in. This is kind of a. I don't know. I don't know what you'll think of this one. I'm going to put Earthbound in the 11 to 15.
Oh, interesting pick.
I love that game.
Earthbound's one of those games that I love in theory, but in execution, I think I came to it too late.
Okay.
Like I didn't play RPGs at that era of my life. Like Pokemon got me into RPGs, and then Final Fantasy X, which just turned 25 years old. Shout out that game. Was the one that like solidified my love for RPGs, and by then like it felt a little bit difficult to go back to the SNES era for RPGs because they had so many smart advancements. But that's a solid pick. I'm not going to argue against that because Earthbound is clearly one of the greatest Nintendo games of all.
Hi there, I'm Hugh from Poderation. If you like today's show, why not check out Dungeons and Dragonfruits, the bizarre, strange, and queer in every sense of the word D&D podcast. Join 5 friends as they laugh, learn, and adventure their way through the weird, wonderful world of Widdershins, where dragons hatch from trees and have adventures of all forms in every shape and size. Available wherever you can get your podcasts.
All time.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I just mentioned this for the 6 to 10. I'm going to say Pokemon Red Blue.
Okay.
And if I'm open to any kind of conversation about actually we should put Gold Silver or something, or Heart Gold Soul Silver is actually my favorite Pokemon game. However, the influence of Pokemon Red and Blue is just difficult to ignore.
It is. This is hard because I feel like there's huge ones we're missing, but neither of us want to spend picks on the low-hanging fruit. We got to get some of these in here. How many are left?
So we have 10 in the top 10 is filled for now.
Okay.
I mean, obviously pending. We have 4 spots left in 11 to 15, 3 spots left in 16 to 20, and 21 to 25 has 2 spots left.
There's only 9 games left?
I think so.
Oh, no. Oh, no. So theoretically, I would get 5 more and you get 4 more since I'm next. Okay. I'll knock out one that I think needs to be on. But which one? Mario Galaxy 2.
Okay, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Let me see if I can find that. There it is. And which one? Where do you want that put?
11 to 15.
Okay, it joins Earthbound in the 11 to 15 category. Since you're going for the low-hanging fruit, I will as well. I'm going to put this in the 11 to 15, though it definitely has upward mobility. I'm going to say Metroid Prime.
Okay. That's good.
Okay, so I think that's another one that like a lot of people would say like that definitely belongs on the list of greatest. And like we've talked about, like it is tough to fill this out because there are so many amazing games that need to be on this list.
It is. Yeah.
And there's probably 50 games that fit on this list. And, we're going to see that when we get to the final part of this this episode and we get past our rankings. So you'll see the diversity of what could be included in these lists. But that brings it back to you, Logan.
Okay, I've got 4 more picks. I know what 2 of them are going to be.
Okay.
So I'll throw in. I'll just do it now because I don't think you're going to. Donkey Kong Bonanza in the 6 through 10.
Wow, 6 through 10.
Yeah, that game is underrated.
Wow. I mean, I love Donkey Kong Bonanza, but
yeah,
that is high praise.
I have to start it there because I know it'll probably move down in the discussions.
I'm going to put it at the top of the 11 to 15 just for the sake of having the numbers.
Spots.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So there's 1 slot remaining in 11 to 15, 3 slots in 16 to 20, and 2 slots in 21 to 25.
Okay.
I will put another one in the 11 to 15, and it's another Mario game, and I apologize, but like I think that Super Mario Odyssey.
Okay, cool. That was going to be one of mine, but I didn't say it yet because I thought you might.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we again, this is not a draft where we're gonna have to be like, concerned about like, oh, we nobody drafted this, so therefore it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm also having a very hard time finding the Mario Odyssey uh, box art here amidst all of the super names. But yeah, Mario Odyssey is going in the 11 to 15 category. I will have to come back to where Mario Odyssey is on this list. But yeah, that while I look for this, you give me yours.
Do I want to put another Zelda? What Zeldas do we have? We have the 2 open world ones. We have Ocarina of Time and Link to the Past.
Yeah, so we have Twilight King or Twilight
Tears of the
Kingdom,
Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom,
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, Link to the
Mhm.
Past,
Mhm.
Breath of the Wild.
Okay. Yeah, I think those are the 4 you need. I don't know if you need another one. I am going to go with. We have so much Mario, but like, can you really leave off Galaxy 1? I don't know. I'm going to. I already picked a Galaxy.
Okay.
I am going to say. I'm going to put the other Donkey Kong game I think needs to be on here, Tropical Freeze.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go with a different one there. I thought you were going to go Donkey Kong 94.
Oh, I do love that game too, but
I know
I
you
like
do, but
Tropical Freeze more.
where do you want that? In the 16 to 20
16
or
to 20.
21? Okay. I am starting to get concerned that I did not put Mario Odyssey in here, which would be a huge oversight on my part.
We can just grab a game we didn't use as a placeholder.
I guess I didn't get Mario Odyssey. What the heck? All right, I'll rectify that while I give you my next pick here.
Okay.
Oh man.
Are you going to put Mario 3 on this list?
That was my next pick, actually.
Yeah.
Was Super
Sorry
Mario
to steal
Brothers
it from your
3.
mouth, but I've just been wondering if
it's
somebody was
okay.
going to say it.
I feel like it has, I mean, a lot of people consider it the greatest Mario game, so it, of course, needs to be on this list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put it in that 16 to 20 category for now. We can talk about if it needs to move up, but yeah, that's where I am at with that. So that goes over to you now.
I got 2 more, right? I got this one and 1 more.
You might just have the. Oh no, yeah, you do have 2 more.
Okay. This one and 1 more is tough. I think I need to put on. I got to do a personal pick. This doesn't need to be an objective list like every other list on the internet. So I'm going to say F-Zero GX.
Oh, that is a good pick, actually. And you want that in the 21 to 25?
Sure.
Okay. Let me just add an image. Oh, no. It's brought me to an entirely different thing. Okay. Please hold.
No problem. I need the time. I need the time on the clock. I have no idea what I'm going to pick last.
I think I also just screwed up the order of our thing.
That's all right. We'll sort it out.
We will.
I think a
sort
lot's
it
going to
out.
move around, honestly.
Oh, it saved it. It preserved my order.
Nice.
I was worried when I went into the uploader that it had removed me. But okay, we have Mario Odyssey on the 11 to 15. That leaves 1 slot remaining in the 16 to 20 and 1 slot remaining in the 21 to 25.
Okay.
So, yes, that means I have 1 final pick to render here. Whew. The heat is on, I think, because there's so many games I could include here.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're down to the wire here. Do I go with the personal pick or do I go with what I think is right?
What do you think is right?
It sucks because like I think what is right is another Zelda or another Mario game, but for diversity and for my personal pick, I'm going to go Star Fox 64.
I was going to pick that. That's great.
Hey.
I was thinking about it, but I don't know. That remake was so good.
Are you going to go the remake or the
No, we should put the original.
That's what I'm putting.
Yeah.
You know, I'll put that in the 21 to 25 range, and that'll leave you with a 16 to 20 pick.
Okay. No, the Star Fox, this remake, I still think the series is largely bad. I don't think they've made other good Star Fox games, but Star Fox 64 is a classic, man. That game is so good.
It really is. And I mean, I love the remake, and I would love to see what Velen Studios can do beyond this one remake, which I think is the play. I think they did this to get their feet under them, and now they can see what they
Yeah,
can do, because
I hope
Nintendo
so.
sure hasn't figured it out.
No, no, they have not.
So we have
Okay,
one
what
pick
do I do?
remaining.
I'm just going to talk through it. I'll talk through it here out loud. There's no Pikmin on this list. Pikmin's great. I don't know if we need a Pikmin. Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door is awesome. Galaxy 1 isn't here. I'm not putting Majora's Mask on the list. I don't like Majora's Mask very much at all.
People
I
are
love A
yelling
Link to-
probably about getting some more Mario Kart representation, maybe GoldenEye, Yoshi's Island.
I don't think you need more Mario Kart. I think you're really good with Mario Kart 8. I think that is such a cut above the rest of the franchise that you don't need anything else.
I
Wind
would agree.
Waker's not here.
Wind Waker's not there. There's only one Pokemon game represented, even though like I would say there's multiple games that are better than Pokemon Red and Blue. We don't have Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run.
Yeah. I think we have the 2 Metroids we need. You don't need another one than that. We have Smash Ultimate. Melee could go in this last slot.
Yeah.
We don't have a Fire Emblem. I love Awakening very much.
That was one that I feels like a glaring omission. Is we don't have any Fire Emblem. We also
Okay,
don't
I'm
have
putting
any
on
Kirby.
I'm putting on Fire Emblem Awakening.
Okay, so that will slot into the 16 to 20 range. So here's where we're at right now. This is our current list. The 1 through 5 category, in no particular order: Super Metroid, Ocarina of Time, Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario World, A Link to the Past. 6 to 10 category, no particular order: Breath of the Wild, Smash Ultimate, Tetris, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Pokemon Red Blue. Next category: Donkey Kong Bonanza, Earthbound, Mario Galaxy 2, Metroid Prime, Super Mario Odyssey. Next category, 16 through 20, Super Mario 64, Wii Sports, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Super Mario Bros. 3, Fire Emblem Awakening. And then the final category, 21 to 25, Splatoon 3, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Animal Crossing New Leaf, F-Zero GX, and Star Fox 64. Now, I would be completely open to trading out New Horizons for something else if we feel that there needs to be representation of something else, or we just think there's a game that belongs on there other than 2 Animal Crossings in the same category.
Yeah, we'll debate which Animal Crossing and why. We can talk about that. So let's just say we're going to have 1 slot for whichever one we pick. I agree with that. What game should go? I got more picks than you. So what do you think's missing?
I am leaning towards Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
If we want to go influence, we could do like either the original Super Mario Brothers or going all the way back to the original Donkey Kong.
Nah. I mean, I love Donkey Kong. I want the arcade cabinet someday. It is not a top 25 Nintendo game.
That's fair. We could also, further hammer home that we love The Legend of Zelda and put Wind Waker on here. But yeah, I'm open to suggestions as well, because I think that we're at a bit of an impasse with how many amazing games there are.
I think you either another Pokemon or Mario Galaxy 1.
I will say there's a lot of love for the Xenoblade franchise. I know it's a bit of a blind spot for me, but
I'm not just going to put it on. Yeah,
I agree. This is our list. But yeah, I'm just looking at all of the box art here and being like, yeah, almost any one of these games would make sense. I mean, I could even make an argument for the Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy Color. Like that, that's how strong this stable of games is.
Yeah.
I would not be opposed to Mario Galaxy 1, but what was the other one that you mentioned? A Pokemon game? So
Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Yeah, I think it's good.
What do you think makes the most sense?
For top 25, we got Galaxy 2. Or how do you feel about Galaxy 2 versus Galaxy? I picked Galaxy 2 because I think it's better.
It's one of those things where it's like Galaxy 1 was way more impactful on me, but Galaxy 2 is probably better. Yeah. But it was just like, hey, here's more Galaxy, which is great because Galaxy rules, but like, I don't know.
I'll tell you what. I regretted my choice as it came out of my mouth. I want to swap Galaxy 2 for Galaxy 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can do that. All right. Let me bring Galaxy.
Because we did a top 100 list at IGN, and I fought for Galaxy 2 above Galaxy 1 because both made it. But if you can only have one, I think you need Galaxy 1.
Okay, and then we will put Heart Gold, Soul Silver in the 20 to 20, 21 to 25 list.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
now we just need to debate which Animal Crossing stays on. Candidly, I have only put significant time into New Horizons, so
Mhm.
I will yield to you.
I like New Leaf a lot more. I think it's a more complete game. I think New Horizons is just about building your town and having complete control. And New Leaf is not about complete control. It's about being a resident in a town that exists with or without you. And I think that's cool. It's like the ultimate realization of the original Animal Crossing formula of that, about just collecting furniture and writing letters and talking to your neighbors. And then New Horizons to me just feels a little soulless. The
Mm.
villagers say the same thing almost every day. You play God. Like, I don't feel like I'm living with these villagers anymore. I feel like I am their overlord. It just does not hit the same way for me. Hugely more culturally impactful than New Leaf. So if you want to do that, that's fine. I just think as a game, I think New Leaf is so good. I think it's like a perfect Animal Crossing game.
I mean, if we were going for cultural impact and not the best game
Yeah.
available, which, you can weigh that, Pokemon Go would be in the top 5. So
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
not doing that. So I
Yeah.
think
Then
we
give
go
me
with
New
New Leaf.
Leaf. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with New
Hmm.
Leaf. I'll take that down and put it back
Cool.
in the image gallery. So we have our groups solidified. Do you want to go group by group trying to order these and figure out
Yeah.
what we want to do with this? Okay. My opinion personally is that Ocarina of Time should be number 1. Any
I mean,
objection there?
no, I can't object to that. I don't
Okay.
agree necessarily, but it would be in my top 3. So I think that's fine. I mean, I literally have the gold cartridge sitting in front of me right now. I've been playing it, and with the remake, I think the hype's at an all-time high, and it's hard to argue that anything else is the best Nintendo game.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking of Giovanni Colantonio. I did a show with him where we had to argue what the greatest Nintendo game of all time was, and he chose Metroid Prime, and I chose Ocarina of Time. And as soon as I said it, he was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna lose this debate." 'Cause
Yeah.
he's like, that was the one game I will cede
Yeah.
to. But um, yeah, I mean, that's my pick for it. Not only in terms of like how great it was back in the day, how great it is today. Even if you play like the 3DS version, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
There was a time where I was like, do I like Final Fantasy X or do I like Ocarina of Time better? And then I played Ocarina of Time 3D and I was like, oh no, that is 100% my favorite game.
Hmm.
Obviously, pre Breath of the Wild.
Hmm.
Um, and it also, like I said with Mario 64, it laid the blueprint. While Mario 64 laid the blueprint for all 3D platformers of the time, uh Ocarina of Time laid the blueprint for every other 3D game with like combat for like a very long time. Like Z targeting, which it didn't necessarily invent, but it popularized, is still used to this day in almost every third person action game with melee combat or even ranged combat. You can lock onto
Yeah.
lock the camera
Mhm.
onto the enemy in the distance. So that's why it's my number 1.
Oh yeah, it is timeless. It's still the highest rated game ever on Metacritic, and deservedly so. I think, yeah, you can't argue against it. I've been just playing and reading a lot about Ocarina of Time, prepping for coverage of the remake later this year. And I went back and read Per Schneider's original review on
Wow.
IGN.com, which still exists in its original form. And he spends multiple paragraphs talking about how revolutionary the context sensitive A button is. So this button, this action button that does different things depending on what buttons you're holding, what you're standing in front of, and what you're doing. Like, that's a revolution at the time. Every game does that to this day, and like, it was novel in Ocarina of Time. It can't be understated. And even beyond that, like, the remake's going to be amazing because those dungeons are still good. Not good for 1998, they're good for today. Like, that
Oh,
game's amazing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've dug into why Ocarina of Time is so special on multiple occasions. Go back a few weeks if you want to hear Camille Salazar Hadaway and Brittany Brombacher just nerd out over what we want from this Ocarina of Time remake. A
Yeah.
few weeks ago, we did that on this very show. If you missed that episode, we had a blast. And then, of course, I did the Ocarina of Time history deep dive, I think like 3 years ago now. So I have a lot of love for Ocarina of Time, in
Mhm.
addition to just how objectively important it is to video games. So that's why I think that it is a clear number 1 in my opinion. What do you think should be the rest of this category? Because I have an order in my head, but I'm curious what your order would be. Your
What are the
proposed
games? I
order.
can't see the screen.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Um, It is Super Metroid, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario World, and A Link to the Past. And I know you said you have an argument for maybe dropping A Link to the Past a little bit.
Yeah. Interesting. So it's Tears of the Kingdom and then like the Super Nintendo Holy Trinity. That makes sense. That's a good top 5. I think Super Metroid's the best of those Super Nintendo games. I would argue
Okay.
for that very hard. I don't think Metroid has been better since Super Metroid, and both I think Mario and Zelda have been to me, but Metroid hasn't. I would put Tears of the Kingdom at 2, and then I would go
Wow.
Metroid, Mario, Zelda, but I can be swayed.
For me, I would say, I mean, Super Mario World is my favorite platformer ever.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think that, yes, there have been amazing evolutions of platforming in general. Super Mario World, I think, is just the perfect distillation, especially on the 2D side. I don't think Mario has ever been better on the 2D side, especially. Um, I could be convinced that a 3D Mario game has been better. I know that, like, Galaxy has incredible ideas at play. Mario
Mhm.
Odyssey is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, no, I'm
I
with you. Mario World's the best 2D Mario for sure.
I think
Yeah.
it's the best 2D platformer, and potentially not even close in my mind. Like, Mario
Mhm.
3 is the only one that comes close in my opinion
Yeah.
in terms of just pure 2D platforming. So
You could talk me into Mario at 2.
I would put it at that would be my number 2,
Yeah.
personally,
Mhm.
just because of all the ways that it smartly evolved and brought Mario, who had been, on the NES to that point. It brought him into the new generation. This was the game that fended off Sonic from, like, challenging for the platformer throne. And it was like the exclamation point that Nintendo needed to be like, you think this blue hedgehog is going to take Mario down? No, no, no. We are just getting started. And that's what Mario World was to me. It was that statement, that exclamation point that Nintendo is still the king. And Sega, as good as it did in the early 90s, still had a long way to go.
Yeah. No, Mario
Um,
World at 2 is a great choice.
okay, I will go with that. And then you I could be swayed to put Tears of the Kingdom at number 3.
Yeah. It's still the
It's
most technically incredible game they've ever made, and it will be, I think, for a long time.
mhm.
And yeah, I know people don't like it compared to Breath of the Wild, the discovery, whatever, the pacing, you can build a hover bike, whatever. That game's amazing that game works. It's incredibly ambitious and so great.
I also think that it has objectively the best boss battle in Zelda history in the final boss.
Me too. Yeah.
So that gets major bonus points for me. Even though I prefer Breath of the Wild in terms of, like, just like overall impact, I 100% give Tears of the Kingdom its flowers.
Mhm.
I think Super Metroid's a solid number 4 here,
Mhm.
honestly. Which game would you bump up over A Link to the Past? The next category, if we want to go there, is Breath of the Wild, Smash Ultimate, Tetris for Game Boy, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Pokemon Red and Blue. Do any of
Mhm.
those bump above A Link to the Past to you? Because this is the one that is the most tenuous member of this top 5 group.
I think throw Breath of the Wild in there.
Oh wow, one Zelda
Yeah.
for another. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll make that change for now, and
Yeah.
we can revisit it as I talk through this more and more. But yeah, that I will take that. I
I
will.
just think like you talk about Mario World being that exclamation point, then how many exclamation points is Breath of the Wild?
That's
Like
fair.
that established Nintendo is where it is right now with the Switch 2 because of that game and because of that console. It's yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I mean, again, you won't hear me arguing to make Breath of the Wild lower. That is
Yeah.
for sure. So that means that is our top 5 right now. It is Ocarina
Mhm.
of Time at 1, Mario World at 2, Tears of the Kingdom, Super Metroid, and the Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I
I
think that
like
is
it.
a solid top 5. We
Me
don't
too.
have to be as in depth for the rest of these in terms of a conversation.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
Yeah.
6 through 10 is Link to the Past, Smash Ultimate, Tetris, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Pokemon Red and Blue. What do you think is the king of that category?
I don't dislike the order you just read them in.
I could make a case for, this might be controversial, just a 1-to-1 swap, make Mario Kart 8 Deluxe leapfrog Tetris and put Smash Ultimate behind Tetris.
So you think Mario Kart's better than Smash Ultimate?
I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is better in terms of pickup and playability. I think that if I have a party and people are like, oh, you have a Switch, what do you want to, like, do you have Mario Kart, is like the first question people ask. It's like, not that that's necessarily like the be all end all here, but that doesn't, it's not for nothing.
Yeah, they're very even in my mind, because Smash to me is more impressive and has a lot more going on technically, but Mario Kart it's Mario Kart. Like you said, everybody likes it, and that one is a masterpiece. So I'm fine with either.
I'm also not opposed to keeping it as is. How about this? We keep it A Link to the Past at 6, Smash Ultimate at 7. We'll move Mario Kart 8 Deluxe above Tetris, 8. Tetris is 9. Pokemon Red and Blue at 10. So that rounds out our top 10.
You've got Mario Kart 8 at 8. That's perfect. Do that.
That is perfect. There we go. 11 through 15. The order currently is Donkey Kong Bonanza, Earthbound, Metroid Prime, Mario Odyssey, Mario Galaxy.
Okay.
I mean, this is my personal preference. I would say I would put Earthbound at the lower end of that group.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah. I might have snuck it in too high when I was drafting it.
No, you're fine. And we can also, put mobility between the groups if we think that Mario 64 or Mario Brothers 3 deserves to be in this list instead of Earthbound.
Yeah.
I would also advocate to put Bonanza at least behind Metroid Prime and Mario Odyssey. I think Mario Odyssey, in my opinion, is better than Bonanza, and it's from the same team, so it's a very easy 1-to-1 comparison there.
Yeah. I think Metroid Prime is overrated.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll drop that at least below Odyssey. So it's now the top 2 in this group are Bonanza and Odyssey.
Like, just before people come after me, love Metroid Prime. It's a top 25 Nintendo game. When I replay it today, I'm like, the artifact hunt is annoying. The mines are a pretty terrible area. Like, there are problems in that game that I think people kind of wash over. That it's amazing, but I don't know.
All right, well, let's drop that down to the bottom portion of that group with Earthbound. So that means that the top 3 in this group are murderer's row, to be honest. Bonanza, Odyssey, Galaxy.
I will give you Odyssey over Bonanza if you give me Bonanza over Galaxy.
Deal.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I like Bonanza more. I could talk for literally hours about why I think that game is like Nintendo looking back on its entire history of video games in a single project that I think people overlook because it's DK and not Mario. But yeah, I think it's a top 5er. For me personally, it's my favorite Nintendo game. And I think it's an incredible celebration of everything. It should have launched with the console. I honestly think people would hold it in higher regard if it was the Switch 2 launch game. But yeah, I think that's a good order. And it and Odyssey are neck and neck for me. I love them both for different reasons.
Yeah, for me, Odyssey is my favorite 3D platformer that has ever been put out. Bonanza is up there as well. Like, I think Bonanza is fantastic. And like, this is why I'm not arguing for it to be like, let's take it off the top 25 list. Yeah. Again, we're reiterating, this is the top 25 games by the greatest game developer or publisher who has ever existed. So it is, even being mentioned on this tier list is a high honor. So we're not like, none of the games on here, if we're saying like, this is arguing the greatest versus the greatest. So like one has to come out on top of the other. So just because we're like, oh, well, Earthbound needs to be lower, doesn't mean we're like, Earthbound sucks.
It's great.
just to precede the comments. Okay, so our order on 11 to 15 is Mario Odyssey, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Super Mario Galaxy, Metroid Prime, and Earthbound.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's go to the next category. 16 through 20. We have Super Mario 64, Wii Sports, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Super Mario Brothers 3, and Fire Emblem Awakening.
Cool. All right, do you like Mario 3 or Mario 64 more?
I think 3.
Me too.
And like, it's like one of those things where I was like, oh, but is 64 more influential? And it's like, no, Mario 3 was like a super influential game as well. Let's put that at
Yeah.
the top. That's the king of this category, in my opinion.
Yep.
Do you like Mario 64 or Tropical Freeze?
I think Tropical Freeze is my favorite 2D platformer ever made.
Okay.
But Mario 64 runs laps around it in terms of influence. So on this list, put Mario 64 over it.
Okay, and then how about we bump Tropical Freeze above Wii Sports?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that gives us Mario 3, 64, Tropical Freeze, and then the last two are Wii Sports and Fire Emblem Awakening.
That's the right order, I
Okay,
think. Yeah.
and that brings us to the final category. We have Splatoon 3, Animal Crossing New Leaf, F-Zero GX, Star Fox 64, and Pokemon Heart Gold Soul Silver.
Cool.
My opinion, I know we put it in last. Heart Gold Soul Silver, in my opinion, is the best Pokemon game and one of the greatest remakes in gaming history.
Yeah.
Would you mind if I, for at least now, put that as the king of the category?
Do it. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're a big Splatoon head, and we're both big Star Fox 64 fans, which is why I'm going to argue that I could see Splatoon 3 being next on the list. I would say Star Fox 64 after that, though. Are you okay with that?
I honestly think Splatoon's a good 25. I think it's good at the bottom of this. I think the series should be here, but I think Splatoon is still. They're awesome. They're really, really great games. I think it's still waiting for its like masterpiece moment where everyone realizes it. Right now, it's like a really good series.
That's fair. Okay,
Yeah.
so
I would put Animal Crossing second in this list.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go with that. And then I'm going to bump Star Fox 64 above F-Zero GX.
Mm-hmm.
Can I make an argument for knocking F-Zero GX off?
In favor of what?
It's one of those games where it's like it hasn't aged great, but its influence is off the charts, and that is GoldenEye 007. That was the first like real console FPS, and people still looked over the PC fence and said like, "LOL, bro, like you think that's a real FPS? Like come play Quake." But it put first-person shooters on the map, and I did a big retrospective for Halo Combat Evolved because it turns 25 years old, and in talking to all those developers, they were like, yeah, we were playing GoldenEye in our office constantly because it was showing us like what works, what doesn't for this franchise. And I think that it's fair to say that Halo is the most influential console first-person shooter of all time. This helped influence Halo. I think it's, again, has not aged well at all, but its influence is pretty unmistakable and pretty impossible to ignore. And of course, I have a ton of great memories playing with friends up until like 4 a.m. as in like middle school. But do you have any that you would like to nominate if we were to put something else on that list?
I don't think so. I mean, there's things missing, obviously, but that's just going to happen. Like, I think we're missing some Zeldas, but we got all the major categories of Zelda fit with 3D, 2D open world, so that's fine. We've got, like, Smash Melee, to me, is a top 25 Nintendo game, but I'm not going to fight for something off when we have Ultimate.
Any love for A Link Between Worlds?
Wait, yes. That's my favorite 2D Zelda, and it's not even close. Do you love Link Between Worlds?
I love A Link Between Worlds. I think it's my favorite 2D Zelda as well. So can we swap off F-Zero GX and put Link Between Worlds on the list?
Yeah. Oh, I'm open to putting GoldenEye on there somewhere if you want. We just gotta knock something else off.
In terms, like A Link Between Worlds was not nearly as influential, but this is where that balancing act comes in because I think it is the best playing 2D Zelda game.
Me too, by a lot.
Do we want to bump that up even a category?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't say it because I thought it was just a personal favorite of mine, but now that you've said it, throw that in the top 15.
How would you feel? That's what I was going to say. How about I bump it up to the 11 to 15 category? We move Earthbound down one. We move Fire Emblem Awakening down to the 21 to 25.
Yeah, so that's good. So did we get rid of F-Zero?
Yes, we did.
That's fine.
So that opens a can of worms, though, for these for these bottom 3 categories. Do we think A Link Between Worlds is better than any of the following games? Mario Odyssey, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Super Mario Galaxy, or Metroid Prime?
No.
Okay. Do we think Earthbound is worse than any of the following games? Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario 64, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, or Wii Sports?
You put that where you want. It's yeah.
For me, it goes right in the middle of this category. After Mario 3 and 64, but before Tropical Freeze and Wii Sports.
Sure.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
You're the champion of that one. So
I
want
would
to make
put it
sure
below Tropical Freeze.
Oh,
I like
really?
Tropical
Okay.
Freeze more of my two picks there. Yeah.
Wow, that plummeted.
It did.
But we did say we were going to reevaluate its placement. Yeah. We just got around to it now. Okay.
So are you willing to sacrifice anything else for GoldenEye? Because we took off one of mine for Zelda. Do we need two Pokemon games on this list? That's mine.
A good question.
Yeah.
Man. I could see losing Heart Gold Soul Silver just in the name of it being it's an amazing remake. I think it's still the best Pokemon game to this day. It doesn't have the influence of Red and Blue. Let's drop that. Are you okay putting GoldenEye on this?
Sure. Yeah.
I
don't have the attachment to it, but I get it.
I'll put it behind Star Fox, but above Splatoon 3. Keep Splatoon 3 at that number 25.
Yeah.
That raises the final question of this, which is Fire Emblem Awakening worse than any of these games? Animal Crossing New Leaf, Star Fox 64, GoldenEye 007, or Splatoon 3?
I personally like it where it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are we ready to run down what our top 25 greatest Nintendo games of all time are?
Yes.
Okay. Should we start at 1 or 25?
25.
Okay. 25, Splatoon 3. 24, GoldenEye 007. 23, Star Fox 64. 22, Animal Crossing New Leaf. 21, Fire Emblem Awakening. 20, Wii Sports. 19, Earthbound. 18, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. 17, Super Mario 64. 16, Super Mario Brothers 3. 15, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. 14, Metroid Prime. 13, Super Mario Galaxy. 12, Donkey Kong Bonanza. 11, Super Mario Odyssey. And then in the top 10, Pokemon Red Blue. 9, Tetris. 8, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. 7, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. 6, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And then the top 5. 5, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. 4, Super Metroid. 3, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. 2, Super Mario World. And 1, the greatest Nintendo game of all time, as proclaimed by the All Things Nintendo podcast, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. How do you feel about that list, Logan?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I think some people won't like it, but hey, it's our list. I think it's really good. I think I was thinking about platforms as you were going through it, and we covered every home console has a game.
Yeah.
I think just barely. I think there's one GameCube game and maybe one Wii game.
We have Metroid Prime on GameCube.
Yep.
We have Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on Wii U.
Yep.
We
and
have Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Who played that on Wii U? And then, you're right. We have Wii Sports. Nintendo 64 is well represented. Super Nintendo is well represented.
Yep.
Do we have an NES game?
Mario 3.
Oh, Mario 3. There we go. All right.
And on the handheld side, we have multiple Game Boy games. I don't think we have a GBA or a DS game.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
But we have Animal Crossing New Leaf and Fire Emblem Awakening and Link Between Worlds from 3DS.
The top 3 3DS games. Yeah.
I don't typically think of like the 3DS as being like my favorite library of games, but those are all very solid picks.
It's top heavy, but it has some of the all-timers. Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Hugh from Poderation. If you like today's show, why not check out Dungeons and Dragonfruits, the bizarre, strange, and queer in every sense of the word D&D podcast. Join 5 friends as they laugh, learn, and adventure their way through the weird, wonderful world of Widdershins, where dragons hatch from trees and have adventures of all forms in every shape and size. Available wherever you can get your podcasts.
Yeah. So I think that's a great top 25 list. Again, nebulous definition of what makes for the greatest Nintendo game of all time. And like you said, people are probably yelling at their podcast listening device right now saying, I can't believe you forgot this. So you know what I did? I put out a call. a few episodes ago, and I reinforced it last episode, which yielded the greatest response, asking the members of this community, the listeners to this very podcast, to submit their personal lists for the greatest Nintendo games of all time. And I went through the more than 100 responses that I got. There were comments on YouTube, comments on Spotify, emails to my Brian at All Things Nintendo email address, comments on the Patreon, and of course, comments on the community Discord. And I applied a weighted system to their responses to come up with an All Things Nintendo listenership top 25 Nintendo games of all time. And I'm just going to run down their list real quick. So you're going to like the top of this list, but there's, speaking of, being Zelda heavy, the listeners of this podcast love them some Zelda, it turns out. So just running down their top 25 real quick. No need to dwell too much. We'll save the commentary for after we get to the end of it.
Okay.
Number 1, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Tied for number 1, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Whoa, okay.
Both of those scored the exact same weighted score, which is absurd considering how many responses came in and how I weighted this. Number 3, a distant number 3, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Hot on its heels, number 4, Super Mario World. Number 5, Pokemon Red Blue. Number 6, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. 7, Super Mario Odyssey. 8, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. 9, Wind Waker. 10, A Link to the Past. 11, Super Metroid. 12, Fire Emblem Three Houses. 13, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Nice. 14, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. 15, Metroid Dread. That was kind of a surprising inclusion for me. 16, Super Mario Galaxy. 17, Super Mario Bros. 3. 18, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Nice. 19, Super Smash Bros. Melee. 20, another surprising inclusion for me, Super Mario Sunshine. 21, Pokemon Gold Silver. 22, Pikmin 4. 23, Super Mario 64. 24, Pokemon Ruby Sapphire. And then 25, Animal Crossing New Horizons. And tied for 25th, by the way, was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And then right on the heels of those games at the end there, missing by just one weighted point, it was a 3-way tie, Star Fox 64, Luigi's Mansion, and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. So those were the community honorable mentions, I would say. But yeah, super solid list by the community. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted their picks for, I had them all submit their top 5 Nintendo games of all time. And then I took that and applied a weighted scale and came up with the list that you just heard. So Logan, how do you feel about the community list?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, 2 Xenoblades getting in. You must have some really hardcore Xenoblade, which is good. I like that series too. It didn't quite fit on our list. Yeah, I liked it. And I think like if I was to make a real, like here's my 25 favorite Nintendo games, Twilight Princess would be on there. Wind Waker would be on there. But I at least didn't want to overload it with Zeldas for sure. So I liked seeing those place well, especially Twilight Princess. That's good because I love that game very dearly. And then good to see Bonanza on there. I'm surprised Ultimate didn't make it. I'm surprised that was at the bottom there and it was Melee instead.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised for one thing and one thing only, and that is that you advocated for Splatoon 3 instead of Splatoon Raiders.
Yeah, it's Raiders is so fresh. I'm not going to throw it on a top 25 all-time list right now. Splatoon 3 is just more of a complete package because it has PvP, PvE, and a single-player campaign. It's got it all.
Completely fair. I mean, I think that there's always that hesitance to be like, this game is one of the greatest games of all time as the reviews are hitting. Like, it's hard to do that unless you are super certain, like, that like you have to really tone down the hyperbole and like check yourself before you do that. But I think both lists are fantastic. Thank you so much again to everyone who submitted their picks for their top Nintendo games of all time. Leave a comment if you're on Spotify or YouTube about which list you prefer. And if you prefer neither, let me know what your picks for your top 25 or top 10, whatever number you want to go to, greatest Nintendo games of all time. You can use my criteria or any criteria that you so choose. But yeah, this was a super fun exercise. Logan, you're always welcome here, but I'm super happy that you were here for this very special 250th episode. So thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, congrats again. It was a blast to be here, and I think we made a pretty fun list.
I think so too. And of course, like, this podcast would not exist. I know I say it would not exist without the people who support me on Patreon all the time, but it would not exist without the support of every single person who has ever listened to an episode of this podcast. I wanted to, pull out all the stops for this episode, which is why we went with such a big topic. And, I think that this was a fun episode. I wanted to involve the community. That is why I solicited you all to submit your picks. I hope you had fun with this. And, I'm excited to keep going with the All Things Nintendo podcast. And I cannot tell you how appreciative I am for everybody who has ever listened to this podcast, ever supported it through all the ways that I talked about at the top of the show, or even told a friend to check out the All Things Nintendo podcast. It really means the world to me. I put a lot of time and effort and passion into this project. So to make it 250 episodes, it felt like a far-flung dream when I started this. So truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for continuing to support this podcast and allowing me to keep going with this show week after week. So with that, thank you so much everyone for listening. As you know, my Patreon and the associated Discord server are the best ways to get any questions or comments in, but you can also reach out to me, Brian at allthingsnintendo.com, or hit me up on Instagram or Blue Sky at Brian P. Shea. Logan, go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, find me on Nintendo Voice Chat every Friday on IGN Games on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Go check out Splatoon Raiders review. We're talking about a bunch of fun Ocarina of Time stuff on our show as well. I know we're all so hyped for that. And thanks again for having me, Brian, and congrats on 250.
Thank you so much. That is our show for this week. Thank you all again so much for your continued support. Take care. We'll see you next time. Hey everyone, thank you so much for your continued support of the All Things Nintendo podcast. Again, I could never have reached episode 250 without the continued support of every single person who listens to this show. But before we get out of here, I do want to give a special extra shout out to the $10 patrons of this podcast. Alex Stadnick, Andy Junkins, Ben Richland, Big Mitch, Chad Brecky, Chaps My Ass, Damian Patino, Derek Sigmund, Dusty Beeman, Ian T. Clark, Jawar Hello, Johnny Five, Jose Villalobos, Joshua DeProy, KC Radio Man, Kenny Shaw, Cody Gibson, Creeper207, MPI Creates, Nathaniel Edison, Ozman83, Paul at Drunk on Mako, Pratable, Rob McCann, Bobby Mac 265, Robert Sosa, Roberto Nieves, Roger Reichart, Russell Sayer, Smithy Poo, Zane Sink, and Zek Three Sword Sama. Again, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate every single person who listens to this podcast. I mentioned it at the top of the show. It was just this far away dream when I started this podcast that I would ever even get to triple digit episodes, let alone 250 of these. Without your support, it wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't have the motivation nor the reason to continue going. So if you have listened to this podcast in any form or supported it in any way, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Has anyone ever sneered at your love of mysteries? Or thought that your obsession with snooping was a little much? Well, I'm Becky.
And I'm Corey.
And we're the hosts of Regular Nancy Drew, a podcast dedicated to the love of the teen sleuth herself.
From the books to the PC games to the TV shows and movies, we talk about it all, scene to scene, cover to cover, and click to click. So come snoop with us.
And just remember, if anyone ever gives you lip, it's actually pretty extraordinary to be a regular Nancy Drew.